Hey everyone, how's it going? Azrin here, owner of the Calgary Language Nerds, and welcome to today's Learn Gujarati with Me podcast episode and YouTube video. I am very, very excited about today's lesson. I'm making it specifically for two of my private Gujarati students. And this lesson is going to be a super lesson. This is a lesson that's going to boost so many aspects of your Gujarati. In fact, this is probably the lesson I've made that will boost your lesson the most, boost your level the most out of any other lesson that I've made today, that I made up to today. So we're going to do a whole bunch of different forms of practice all around a single central topic. And the practice we do, I'm looking over to the right because I have like a bunch of notes for today's lesson to make sure I cover everything. But everything we do today is going to help you to practice your listening comprehension, learn lots of new words in Gujarati, have some thought-provoking things to really think about and discuss in Gujarati. You're going to get to practice your reading in Gujarati if you are practicing your reading. You're going to get to practice your speaking/writing as well if you are doing those two aspects. And it's also going to be a way to train your ear to tune to the Gujarati language. So it's a big lesson. There's a lot of different things you're going to get to practice, and there's so many aspects of your Gujarati that we're going to boost up in one single video. Now, how is this video going to work? Well, there's different segments to today's lesson, and we're going to slowly, at our own pace, flow through our different segments. The first segment we're going to go through is a very thought-provoking question segment. What you're going to need for this segment is you're going to need a notebook, and you're going to need a pencil or pen. Both could work. I'm going to read you a series of questions in Gujarati, and I just want you to write these questions down. You're not going to understand them. There's going to be some new words that you don't know, but I want you to the best of your ability, listen to what I'm saying. Here, really focus on the sounds that I'm saying, like focus on the sounds of the words, and try your best to sound out what I'm saying. Does that sound good? If you know the Gujarati script, I want you to write in the Gujarati script. If you don't know the Gujarati script, no problem. I want you to write in English letters. So if I said, for example, hi, tame kem cho, in English letters, you might write hi, H-I, tame, T-A-M-E, kem cho, K-E-M-C-H-H-O. Does that make sense? Let's dive into these very thought-provoking questions. They're really difficult, so bear with me. Be really focused. Question number 1. Loko paschimi sanskruti vishe shu vichare che? Loko paschimi sanskruti vishe shu vichare che? You might need to pause, by the way. We're going to go through these pretty quickly, so pause as needed. Question 2. Shu paschimi sanskruti ખરેખર ખરાબ છે? શું પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિ ખરેખર ખરાબ છે? Number 3, we're going to do this one here. પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિના બે સારા ગુણો કયા છે? Let me read that a little bit slower. પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિના બે સારા ગુણો કયા છે? પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિના બે સારા ગુણો કયા છે? Next one. પશ્ચિમના દેશોમાં લોકોને આદર કેવી રીતે મળે છે? પશ્ચિમના દેશોમાં લોકોને આદર કેવી રીતે મળે છે? Next one. આપણા દેશમાં લોકો સાથે કેમ ભેદભાવ થાય છે? આપણા દેશમાં લોકો સાથે કેમ ભેદભાવ થાય છે? Next one. પશ્ચિમમાં લોકો નિયમો માને છે. શું તે સારું છે? પશ્ચિમમાં લોકો નિયમો માને છે. શું તે સારું છે? Next one. And actually, I think it's the last one. Let me look at the rest of my list. Nope, sorry. There's two more to go. આજના યુવાન Let's start that again. આજના યુવાનોને પશ્ચિમની કઈ વસ્તુઓ ગમે છે? આજના યુવાનોને પશ્ચિમની કઈ વસ્તુઓ ગમે છે? And last one. આપણે પશ્ચિમમાંથી કઈ સારી આદતો શીખવી જોઈએ? આપણે પશ્ચિમમાંથી કઈ સારી આદતો શીખવી જોઈએ? All right. That concludes part 1 of this lesson. Now we're going to go through those questions. Let me share my screen. Make sure this microphone doesn't die on me. Yeah, we're good to go. I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to go through those questions. I'll show you how they're written so you can check your answers. We're also going to look at the translations for each of those sentences. I'd like you to check your answers here. And I'd like you to also write down the English translation. So question 1. લોકો પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિ વિશે શું વિચારે છે? What do people think about Western culture? પશ્ચિમી is Western. Sanskriti is culture. So લોકો પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિ વિશે શું વિચારે છે? What do people think about Western culture? શું પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિ ખરેખર ખરાબ છે? Is Western culture really bad? Is it really all that bad? શું પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિ ખરેખર ખરાબ છે? ખરેખર is like really? Is it really that bad? ખરેખર ખરાબ છે? ખરેખર. Is it really bad, actually? Actually, we skipped this one. I don't want to do this one here. We're going to skip this. It's a little bit too philosophical for our purposes today. What is the true meaning of Western? We're going to skip that really philosophical question. We're also going to skip this one here. But we didn't skip this one. પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિના બે સારા ગુણો કયા છે? So પશ્ચિમી again is Western. Sanskriti is culture. So પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિના so બે સારા ગુણો કયા છે? સારા ગુણો. Guno means qualities or values. So what are like two qualities? What are two good qualities? Be sara guno of the Western culture. What are two good qualities of Western culture, quote unquote? પશ્ચિમના દેશોમાં લોકોને આદર કેવી રીતે મળે છે? How do people earn or get respect in Western countries? These are all good questions, right? Like all very, very thought-provoking questions. Okay, next one here. આપણા દેશમાં લોકો સાથે. Oh, by the way, adar is the word for respect. This is the word for respect. Adar, adar, adar. Paschim is west. So paschimna deshoma. So in the Western countries, lokone adar કેવી રીતે મળે છે? How are they getting respect or earning respect? આપણા દેશમાં લોકો સાથે કેમ ભેદભાવ થાય છે? ભેદભાવ is discrimination. So કેમ ભેદભાવ કેમ ભેદભાવ થાય છે? Now you'll notice that for just a minor grammar point, when we discriminate in Gujarati, it's always something sathe. So લોકો સાથે ભેદભાવ થાય છે. People are discriminated against. So you discriminate with. સાથે. લોકો સાથે. Any સાથે. It's always with. You discriminate with. Whereas in English, we discriminate against. It's kind of funny, right? You discriminate with in Gujarati, but English, we discriminate against. It's kind of opposite from English in a way. So why do people discriminate against others in our country? Even here, the English, it's kind of funny. Why does discrimination happen with people? It's almost like, why does discrimination happen against people in our country? This one here. પશ્ચિમા લોકો નિયમો માને છે. શું તે સારું છે? In the West, people follow the rules. Is that a good thing? Is that good? Right? Niyam is the word for rule. Niyamo is the word for rules. Niyamo. So again, make sure you're writing these down. I want you to write the English translations underneath your Gujarati text here. I want you to write those down. Here we go. આજના યુવાનોને પશ્ચિમની કઈ વસ્તુઓ ગમે છે? So what things from the West do today's youth like? Yuvan. Yuvan means young. Yuvan also means youth. Yuvano means youth. Sorry. Yuvan is like a young person. Yuvano is like the youth of today. Ajna Yuvano, right? Today's youth. So Paschimni kai vastuo game che. What things do they like? Vastu is the word for things. Vastu. Next one here. Apne paschimmathi. So we from the West, paschimmathi, kai sari adato shikvi જોઈએ. Sari adato is good habits. Adat is a habit. Sari adato, good habits in the plural. Shikvi જોઈએ is should we learn. Shikvi જોઈએ. So shikvi જોઈએ. Kai sari adato shikvi જોઈએ. I think that was the last one, right? Yes, that's right. That's the last one. So that's that. We got lots of new words, lots of good questions. Now what we're going to do is we're going to switch into the next portion of today's video. And we're going to just talk a little bit slowly, nice and slowly, about some of these questions, kind of in a free-flowing way. I'll talk and you listen and try your best to understand. I might throw in some English from time to time again. I haven't really prepped anything. I want to keep it loose and loosey and loosey and goosey and just keep it a bit free-flowing. So let's do some listening practice on these particular questions. So sit back, really listen, and just focus. Try and like soak it all in. Here we go. તો સૌથી પહેલા આપણે આ પ્રશ્ન વિશે વાત કરીએ કે લોકો પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિ વિશે શું વિચારે છે? લોકો પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિ શું વિચારે છે? એ પ્રશ્ન મને ખબર નથી કે હું શું કહું. મને ખબર નથી કે પશ્ચિમી સૌથી પહેલા પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિ શું છે? પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિ શું છે? એ હું અત્યારે વિચારું છું કે શું છે? પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિ એટલે ખાવાનું, એટલે આદતો, આદતો એટલે habits, એટલે આદતો, એટલે ઇતિહાસ, ઇતિહાસ એટલે શું? ઇતિહાસ એટલે history, એટલે ઇતિહાસ છે, history છે, એટલે ભાષા, ભાષા એટલે language, કદાચ ભાષા છે. શું છે પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિ? એ સૌથી પહેલા હું એ વિચારું છું. ને આઈ થિંક કે અત્યારે ઘણા લોકોને કદાચ લાગે છે કે પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિ ખરાબ છે. ઘણા લોકો કદાચ એવું વિચારે છે કે ના, યુએસમાં બધું ખરાબ છે, કે કેનેડામાં બધું ખરાબ છે, કે હોલિવૂડમાં ખબર નહીં આ થાય છે, તે થાય છે. મને આ નથી ગમતું. મને આ ગમતું નથી કે ના, પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિ ખરાબ છે. પણ એકચ્યુઅલી ખરાબ છે? ખરેખર ખરાબ છે? કે ખરેખર બધું ખરાબ છે? મને લાગે છે કે ના. મને એવું લાગે છે કે ના, કે બધું તો ખરાબ નથી. બધું તો ખરાબ નથી. ઘણી બધી સારી વસ્તુ, સારી વસ્તુ કે સારી ગુણો, કે સારા ગુણો, સોરી સારી નહીં, સારા ગુણો પણ છે. સારા ગુણો પણ છે. There's a lot of good qualities, right? સારા ગુણો પણ છે. જેમ કે જો અહીંયા ખબર નહીં, હું વિચારું છું કે મારા ઘણા મિત્રો છે અને એ લોકો જો કંઈ આ એક્ઝામ્પલ આપું. હું આ લર્ન ગુજરાતી વિથ મી આ પોડકાસ્ટ છે, આ યુટ્યુબ ચેનલ છે, મારો ધંધો છે, ધંધો એટલે બિઝનેસ, મારો ધંધો છે, કેલ્ગરી લેંગ્વેજનો જે ધંધો છે એ હું કરી શકું છું, એ હું અહીંયા કરી શકું છું. મારી એક ફ્રેન્ડ છે, એ બીજા દેશમાં રહે છે. મારી એક ફ્રેન્ડ છે, એ બીજા દેશમાં રહે છે, અને એ મને કહેતી હતી કે ત્યાં જો એને ધંધો જોઈતો હોય કે મને આ ધંધો જોઈએ છે, તો ત્યાં બહુ અઘરું છે, બહુ અઘરું છે. કે ત્યાં ખબર નહીં બહુ સરકાર પાસે આ કંઈક કાગળ હોય કે આ કંઈક અપ્રુવલ હોય, કંઈક આ માંગવું પડે કે બહુ અઘરું છે. વાવ, તો એ શું ઓન્ટરપ્રિનરશિપ બધા કે છે એ આઈ થિંક એ પશ્ચિમી, એ પણ વિચારું છું કે એ પશ્ચિમી કે શું એ પશ્ચિમનો કઈ આઈડિયા છે, એ પશ્ચિમનો આઈડિયા છે, એ પશ્ચિમનો વિચાર છે કે ઓ મારે આ ધંધો જોઈએ છે, મારે આ બિઝનેસ જોઈએ છે, મારે આ કરવું છે, મારે ઓન્ટરપ્રિનરશિપ કરવું છે. એ પશ્ચિમનો આઈડિયા છે, પશ્ચિમનો વિચાર છે. મને લાગે છે કે હા, પણ બીજા દેશમાં પણ લોકો પાસે ધંધા હોય છે ને, એટલે આઈ થિંક મને ખબર નથી એક્ઝેક્ટલી, પણ કે હું શું કહેવા માંગુ છું, ખાલી કહેવા માંગુ છું કે કદાચ મને ખાલી એ ગમતું નથી કે ઘણા લોકો અત્યારે, જો આજકાલ તો ઘણા લોકોના તો બહુ નેગેટિવિટી તો બહુ હોય છે એ લોકો પાસે, કે બહુ નેગેટિવિટી હોય, કે બહુ વિચારતા હોય કે અત્યારે આ બધું ખરાબ છે યુએસમાં કે કેનેડામાં, કે બસ જો પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિ બહુ ખરાબ છે ને બધા ઉદાસ હોય છે ને બધા ગુસ્સે હોય છે આજકાલ. એ મને એકચ્યુઅલી ગમતું નથી. મને લાગે છે કે વધારે આમ ઓપ્ટિમિઝમ તો રાખવું જોઈએ ને, કે સારા વિચારો તો વિચારવા જોઈએ, સારા વિચાર તો વિચારવા જોઈએ ને, કે જો બધું ખરાબ નથી, બધું ખરાબ નથી. Okay, let's pause there. How was that? A little bit difficult, a little bit easy? It's actually kind of hard for me. I was just thinking, like, what do I actually think about this topic? It was even difficult for me as I sat there and really like tried to dig into my soul. Like, what do I really think about this topic? And it's fun just to see what comes to mind. So I'll do a quick summary in English. Obviously, I can't do all of it in Gujarati, or all of it every single line by line. But roughly speaking, what I said was like, I thought I talked about Western culture, like what is Western culture? That's a good place to start. Like, what is Western culture? I don't know. Like, કે પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિ શું છે મને ખબર નથી કે શું છે. What is it? Like, ખાવાનું છે? Is it food? કે what did I say? I said ઇતિહાસ છે? Is it the history? કે હોલિવુડ છે? કે પશ્ચિમી સંસ્કૃતિ શું છે? That's a good place to start. What is it, right? And I think I just feel that often people now they look at Western culture and they think that it's not good, it's bad, it's it's very, excuse me, that's very bad. But is it actually all bad? Is it actually all bad? Is everything actually completely bad? Really? Maybe not though. I think that there are good qualities. There's at least certain good qualities. Nothing. It's not. What's that expression? What's that expression? You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, as they say, right? Kind of an older expression, but still. કે સારા ગુણો તો છે. સારા ગુણો તો છે. અમુક તો સારા ગુણો તો છે. There are some good qualities, right? There's something, and I was talking about my business, and like I live in Canada, and it was just I could start a business. It was cool. Like, I can make these videos. I can have my Calgary languagers business. I can do that. I have a friend who lives in another country, and like, it's tough. It was hard. It was like all this paperwork, and it was like even hearing about all the things she told me was like, what? This is crazy. And that got me thinking, like, is it even a Western? Is business and is that a Western thing? Like, I don't even know. There's lots of businesses in other countries. Like, I don't actually even really know. Kind of an interesting thing to think about. Like, what does it even mean? What is Western? It's funny. One of the questions that I skipped was like, what is the meaning of Western culture? That's actually maybe a good question to start with, frankly. Maybe. I don't know. Did I say anything else? I might have. I can't remember anymore. That was the gist of what I said. So to wrap up I'm going to share my screen. To wrap up today's lesson, I'm going to give you a little exercise. Let me share my screen again. So we had these different thought-provoking questions, and I'd like you to actually think yourself, like, right, and actually take these questions and like maybe write out a little response yourself. You can pick all the questions, some of the questions, totally up to you, like whichever ones inspire you, and like really maybe flesh out a little answer yourself. Write it down in Gujarati, talk about it in Gujarati, maybe talk about it with your family, talk maybe just with yourself, just think about it in Gujarati. I want you to do that. So this is a great way for you to practice your speaking, practice your writing if you're learning to write. So here's the questions one last time. You should have them written down already, but right. Loko Paschimi Sanskriti Vishay Suvichare. What do people think about Western culture? Anyway, you have all the questions. We're not going to do them all again. So pick one or two of the questions and write out a little response to answer that question. And maybe practice talking about this with someone that you know in Gujarati. All right, that is your homework for today to get some speaking practice and or some writing practice. Hope you guys liked today's super Gujarati lesson. Lots and lots of practice today. And I'll see you in the next one. Aujo, bye.